Don't miss Ensemble for These Times' upcoming concert, Mujeres Ahora, on May 9th at the Community Music Center, presented as part of the San Francisco International Arts Festival. For more information, go to www.e4tt.org.
Welcome to For Good Measure, an interview series celebrating diverse composers and other creative artists, sponsored by a grant from the California Arts Council. I'm Nanette McGuinness, Artistic Executive Director of Ensemble for These Times. In this week's episode, we continue our conversation with Zanaida Robles, who we spoke to in January 2024. Looking at the past a little bit, you were the music director for the LA Street Symphony's Messiah project for 5 years, which is impressive. Both the symphony and the project sound deeply meaningful. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. Street Symphony is an organization. It's not an actual orchestra or an established ensemble. Street Symphony is like it's a nonprofit organization founded and directed by Vijay Gupta, who is a prodigy, brilliant, genius violinist. He was the youngest violinist ever who ever was selected to play with the LA Phil.
Wow.
And super brilliant. While he was here, and he tells his story. You could look up Vijay Gupta, and I think his story is available. But he founded Street Symphony because he realized that there was such a divide, and it was difficult. It was, how do you reconcile being on top of the hill playing in Walt Disney Concert Hall, and you just walk a couple of blocks down the hill and you're at Skid Row, and that's really what was happening. And the people there, we're all people, and people that are playing in the concert hall, that music is not just for people that can afford to be in that concert hall. Music is for everyone, and that's that's sort of the gist of Street Symphony. So what we did with Messiah Project, so just to be clear, Messiah Project was the element for which I was the music director.
Right.
And Messiah Project happened for 5 years at the Midnight Mission in Skid Row, and the objective was to bring this idea of a Messiah sing-along out of the big concert hall on a hill, the Golden Palace, and bring it to the people that could benefit from it, and could benefit from the message of hope and healing and grace that one might find in the singing of something like Messiah, and in a Messiah sing-along. It's not just the music itself being sublime, if you like Messiah, if you're familiar with the Hallelujah chorus, but it's the idea of singing it in community and finding ways to bring embody our humanity, where there's whether you're a concert professional, or you're a novice, or you're experiencing homelessness, or you're experiencing recovering, or you're trying to recover from addiction. All of these people in all these walks of life are in the same room, and we share that experience, and I got to facilitate that for 5 years. It was some of the most important work I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And it was some of the most challenging as well. It was very, very emotionally challenging to have to go into that area, to see the just sprawling homelessness and just desperation on the streets. For miles. It's really, I would say that for many of us in Southern California, most of us don't go down there. You don't know what's there. And once you actually do go see, you hear about Skid Row and you hear about homelessness, but most people they're removed from it because they just don't go.
Right.
But actually being intentional about going there and connecting with the community, it changes everybody that participate. So so the most important element is that Street Symphony actually changed the people that it changed the most, the people that Messiah Project had the biggest impact on was us. It was those of us coming down from the hill, sort of reclaiming our humanity in that action of singing with the rest of the community. That's so powerful. We're not the saviors of, we're not their saviors. We didn't come there to offer our amazing gifts. We came there to be welcomed into their community. That's their home.
Right.
And to have the experience to commune with them. It's communion. That's holy. So it was really sacred, holy work that we did. That program has now expanded. I'm no longer working in that with that organization, but it's going strong. They did a wonderful project this year, and they've expanded it, and it's gone beyond Messiah. It's no longer just about Messiah, and it's about service. People that come in, and we don't just have people, coming in from, different areas, of affluence, like sort of showing up to stamp their I participated card,
Right.
Like you have to do, if you go, they put you to work.
Right.
You're going to be a part of the community and you're going to do some service. And so it's a really beautiful way for people to reclaim their humanity, and also to recognize that that's one of the largest recovery areas in the country. People go there to recover and not find salvation, but it's a really special place.
Yeah, there's some pretty strong studies on the power of choral singing from the inside on the human spirit.
Yeah, that's true. And especially, well, one of the things from me, my role was to sort of encourage the audience, the community participants to sing out. And many of them don't read music. Some of them do. Some of them actually do have training, but most of them don't. Most of them, they kind of know the Hallelujah chorus, but they don't really know Messiah. I actually had to teach several of the choruses. Not all of it is a long work, but some of the choruses I had to teach by rote, and I had to teach the Hallelujah chorus by rote. And it takes, I can't even describe what it takes to be able to do that with people who don't necessarily have musical training. How do you get there? You've got to find a way to bring the music to the forefront and make it about the music, not about the people. You don't have skills. You need this skill. Let me see. You're not making tone. I'm not judging people.
Right.
This is how the music goes. Do it with me. And that essentially that was my job, is to try to get people to. And some people they had a hard time doing it. They were emotional about it. They realized they felt vulnerable in ways that they had never felt vulnerable before. They're exposed. They feel their voices connecting with someone else's voices for the first time. And to see that in this kind of community, it's like you said, it does things to you on the inside, and you can see the change. People were healed through that experience.
Nothing more vulnerable, or very few things more vulnerable than singing. Yeah. Connecting that way. So yeah, no, it sounds really powerful. Thank you for listening to For Good Measure, and a special thank you to our guest, Zanaida Robles, for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast by clicking on the subscribe button, and support us by sharing it with your friends, posting about it on social media, and leaving us a rating and a review. To learn more about E4TT, our concert season online and in the Bay Area, or to make a tax-deductible donation, please visit us at e4tt.org. This podcast is made possible in part by a grant from the California Arts Council and generous donors like you. For Good Measure is produced by Nanette McGuinness and Ensemble for These Times, and designed by Brennan Stokes, with special thanks to co-producer and audio engineer Stephanie M. Neumann. Remember to keep supporting equity in the arts, and tune in next week for Good Measure.